Good evening and welcome to the Let's Talk Mental Health podcast, the weekly show where we lift the stigma associated with mental health. I'm James Downey, founder of the TAD projects of Lanarkshire, which is an online community hub that supports members with poor mental health. We strive to build autonomy and confidence in members and give them a healthier well-being. Resources include boot camps, health walks, meditation, phone volunteers. We are currently helping over 1,000 members in South Lanarkshire.
A Brooke Longmore, mindset and mental health specialist with 16 years experience of studying the human mind and working with the human mind. I specialise in supporting children, adults, families, businesses to develop mental fitness and move beyond challenging times.
Fantastic. Tonight, we're delighted to be joined by Chief Executive Tony Hamilton and Head of Outcomes, Donna Marie from the Celtic FC Foundation. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Very good, James. Thank you.
Thank you for coming on to speak about the Celtic FC Foundation, all the great work you are doing. We really do appreciate your time.
Thanks for inviting us.
No, not a problem. Not a problem.
It's a great opportunity for us, I think, just to try and explain to you, hopefully a new audience that some of the stuff we're doing and maybe some of the stuff that we need a bit of help with as well.
Yeah, fantastic. So we'll start off for the viewers and the listeners out there, that don't know. Can you please tell us a little bit about the foundation and its story?
Celtic FC Foundation is an amalgamation of the old Celtic Charity Fund and a department of the football club, which was the foundation department, funnily enough. And really, we've got a few areas of focus, but really we're interested in work that helps people out of poverty and work that includes people that would otherwise be excluded. So Donna Marie and her team work with a lot of people who have dementia or who have autism or live with Down syndrome. And in normal times, and I think that's the key here, we deliver projects and initiatives aimed at them.
Yeah.
And we also run a lot of employability projects for marginalised people mainly. So people that may have a chronic health issue or they may have something in their past that's preventing them getting into work, such as a criminal record, for example. Those are some of the things that we do.
Yeah. And that's great. You're supporting that. It's really good for the people out there who are in that situation. So could we talk a wee bit about your role within the foundation, Tony, as chief executive? Sorry.
So my role really is to run the organisation, and we've got a team. We've got a management team. Donna Marie sits in that with two other people. And really that's my job is, to make sure that the governance is good, that we're conforming with the law, that we're doing things properly, and that we bring in money so that we can deliver the projects that we want to deliver and keep doing it.
Yeah.
So that's a constant battle, as you can imagine, especially in this climate, COVID times, and the economic climate that we're in at the moment. It's challenging just to try and continually, ask people to put their hand in their pocket. But that's the job.
Yeah, indeed. And Donna Marie, can we talk about your role, please?
Yeah, so my role, I get the nice part. I get to spend the money that we raise, and I get to talk to lots of different partners and participants in here about what they feel is needed, and then we design projects that try and support and help. So, as Tony touched on, pre-COVID, we had about 30 different projects that ranged from all different age groups that we work with. So we're in primary schools. We've got children in creches that come along while their parents are in projects, through to older people with dementia, disability sports projects, lots of health and well-being, and lots of employability. So yeah, I get the task of trying to spend that money wisely and create projects that are going to help people.
Yeah, fantastic.
Great. And I think I'm actually aware of, you had been high schools as well, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I used to do quite a lot of work in St Andrews High School in Greenfield.
Yeah.
So sometimes when the kids were in working with me, they would be going to work with you guys after that, and the excitement.
St Andrews have been a great school for us to work with. They're very on the ball. They're very quick to get in touch and see what's going on. So hopefully, actually, in the coming weeks, we'll be doing some of our cashback delivery with St Andrews as well. So yeah,
it's a great school because it's got great former pupils.
Yeah.
Oh, did you? Well, you know, Tony, both my parents went to St Andrews as well, so.
Make me feel really old, why don't you?
No, we certainly aren't.
It's just behind me where I'm sitting just now. So.
You're not far from me then. We can talk offline. I'm not getting my address out here.
Yeah, so obviously, you know, you're working on a lot of projects, guys, and you know, can you talk a wee bit in particular about the Gateway to Health and Opportunity?
Yeah, so we've got a Gateway to Health and Opportunity project, and it's funded through the lottery, who have been great partners for us now for a number of years. So the idea behind the project was that people that are 18 plus and I guess who ultimately would like to get a job and to earn money and move out of poverty, but are not quite there yet. And it's for people that have really maybe got some more challenges to overcome before they're going to be maybe even ready to turn up for a job interview. So it's much more about the confidence building, the self-esteem, sometimes just getting into a routine. A lot of our participants on that particular project are still living in homeless accommodation. A lot are still on quite high levels of methadone, and other providers maybe can't engage with them. And we've just tried to take the approach that if somebody is stable enough and willing enough to show up, then that's good enough for us, and we'll try and work in as long as we can progress them in some positive destination. Then that's what we do through that project. And although the main goal hasn't been about jobs, there's still been a lot of people have moved into jobs, but it's much more about the wider impact on the family and friends as well, because as you guys will know, if I come along to a project like that and I get the benefit from it, then it's my circle of maybe friends and family that I've been disengaged with, that they get the benefit of me feeling better as well. So
how do you get in contact with these people then? Say the people that you're maybe supporting, how do you connect with them?
So most of our projects are self-referral. All of them are voluntary engagement. So it's really important to us that nobody's being forced to come along to something. So if they'll give us a couple of minutes of their time and that we can try and I guess sell to them that we're there to help them and we really want to do something good, then so through different community organisations, different charity partners that we work with, we've got lots of different people that are maybe key workers and support workers, and they're working with somebody one-to-one quite intensively, and they just need that first step for somebody to get back into some sort of routine on a weekly basis. So it's all self-referrals. We put a lot of stuff out on our social media channels, but as Tony has touched on before, that's maybe going to a particular audience. If it's going out on our streams, however, we've done well at engaging with people that support other football clubs or don't even like football at all. If we can get them through the door and show them what we're about, then it's usually a good start.
Because I guess they see the support, don't they? And I think the most important thing you said there was it's voluntary. When people know it's voluntary, I think that just settles people right away, doesn't it? Because they know that there's a level of them in control as well. They can back away or they can engage as much as they like. And what you said there about how important it is for the wider circle, that's just, I think you can't even begin to explain that can you not, how much of a positive impact one person getting an opportunity can just have, the ripple effect in the family, the wider family, the friendship. I mean, it's quite magical to see when somebody just gets that opportunity, how that impact of that just keeps on growing.
Absolutely, because, you know, as you're just saying as well, if there's children in the family and it's a parent that, you know, has been disengaged, and, you know, you can't put into words what that means to somebody.
No.
So yeah, that's I guess.
And I guess if their parents thriving, you'll know yourself, and I see this with the work that I've been doing with kids over the last 16 years. If the parents thriving, quite more than often than not, the child starts to thrive, because they feel that energy. The household is a better place to be in. They don't have to worry about their parent anymore, and you can engage with the education system in a much better way.
Absolutely. A lot of the time, and you touched on it earlier about being in schools, and a lot of the feedback from teachers is that, you know, I think sometimes people, you know, the perception is that, oh, you work with the troublesome kids, you know, the kids that can't settle down or aren't academic. That's not the feedback we're getting from teachers. What teachers are saying to us is a lot of the time that these kids could be academic, but they're so tired, they haven't been awake all night in a household, that they're falling asleep in class. So yeah, if you can help within the household, then everybody's going to benefit.
Yeah. Absolutely. It's not about football, you know, it's about helping others to strive, you know, when you're really making a difference. I mean, you have raised what, £300,000, is that right, to help those most in need over the pandemic, you know?
We set up a fund in March, James.
Yeah.
We called Football for Good Fund when we realised that the projects that we've described to you, we're only going to be able to deliver them for a period of time. We identified another, I think we're up to 60 partners now that had boots on the ground, and we're still out in the communities, mainly food. And we've raised very, very close to £1 million since March.
Wow. Brilliant. Fantastic work.
We're very, very close to that now. And it's now rolled into our annual Christmas appeal, which was just over 300 grand last year. And it won't be that this year because we're in a different economic climate right now. But we'll do what we can over the course of the next, it's a month, over the course of the next month, and see how close we can get, you know.
How do you guys feel about that? Because I guess when you're doing so much fundraising, it can just sometimes, if we're not conscious about it, it can just become figures, right? But that's a huge, huge amount of money for you guys to have raised. And I guess, do you ever stop to just think about how much that can benefit other people?
The impact, yeah.
I think in an ideal world, where you want to get to is you want to get to a point where you don't need organisations like Celtic FC Foundation. That you rely less on the subsector. So that's, you know, we're a million miles away from that, and we've had a great setback with the pandemic. But it's not a time. I suppose it's a bit like football. You know, if you have a great result, you celebrate that night and then you move on. It's a bit of that for what we do, and I'm sure it is in your life as well, that there's always the next person or the next.
Absolutely, yeah. It's always moving forward.
And you know, dwelling on the past, we can't change the past. If it's not went well, you need to address why it's not went well, and then work on it for the next time and make it better the next time. That's really what we do, and that's no different to what any other organisation does. I don't think there's nothing special about what we do.
I think it's got a huge place, hasn't it, to make huge impact, and even during such difficult times, it sounds like you're still so determined to make an impact as well.
I think you said a really important thing, James, around it's no football, and absolutely 100% right. It's not about football. We don't teach kids how to play football, but the biggest asset we have at Celtic FC Foundation is the football club brand. It's what brings people in the door. It's what engages people, and they don't need to be a Celtic supporter. And as Donna Marie's already said, they don't need to be a football supporter, but there's something special about walking through that front door and coming into the stadium. You know, it's it's almost impossible not to be impressed by it. So,
of course.
So that gives us a real edge, that sets people right away. So, so that's where we're
Because I
at.
guess I guess even if you're not a supporter of the club or into football, there's still huge talent in football clubs, isn't there? So I guess when you're walking through the doors, you're experiencing where talent, where dreams are made, where people are really living well.
Yeah, it's very inspiring. It's very inspiring.
You look at Celtic, or you look at the big clubs, then there are a series of micro businesses, if you like. So there is, we're a big retail organisation, we're a security organisation, we're a hospitality organisation, we run restaurants, we run catering. No us at the foundation, incidentally, but across Celtic, and it runs like any other business. So you're right. There's a lot of clever people there,
And I was saying off air, I was speaking to Donna Marie. I had done a course in 2007 where I came into Celtic. Now I had really, really poor mental health issues, Tony, and I joined it. It was an employment course which we done coaching, and I was just mentioning Michael O'Halloran, who was the kind of coach for it, and it was fantastic. And there was a few Rangers supporters there as well, so it just goes to show that you guys are doing things, and it's not just about Celtic, it's about the broader spectrum of things, isn't it?
Yeah. I think we're interested in our communities, and that starts in the north and east of Glasgow, because that's our home, because life's tougher. I'm an East Ender. Life's tougher in the East End than it is as you look across the city. But we also have communities in London. We've got communities in Belfast, and we've got communities in Donegal, and we've got communities in Edinburgh. So it's trying to be effective and visible within these places without trying to spread your thing, spread yourself too thin, because you can't be everything to everybody.
That's very true. And that was my next question, was to, speaking about the Football for Good Fund. And that's been aimed at tackling mental health, and you guys recently donated, was it £10,000 to St Roch's, wasn't it? And there was another one, I can't remember the name. Yeah. So how did that all come about, the Football for Good Fund, guys?
Football for Good Fund, I think I jumped in and Tony there, but
that's all right.
it was our, I guess, our response to COVID-19 and the pandemic. We sort of initially didn't know what was going to happen, but what we did know is that the stadium was closed down. We couldn't bring our participants in any longer. And it was just really important to us to find like-minded partners that were still able to work through the pandemic and work with us and see if we could broaden our reach. So the initial strand of Football for Good Fund, I guess because it was a response and it was very reactive, was about trying to get food and essentials out the door to people, and that's mostly what we did. And then what you're making reference to about the mental health, that's a second strand that we've just launched, because I think we've reacted, and we're still working with different organisations on feeding projects, but it just, when we do our own delivery or when we work with partners, irrelevant of who's doing what, even if the project isn't described as a mental health project, we find that the majority of people that are walking through our doors will either have mild to moderate stress and anxiety right through to suicidal thoughts. So no matter what the project is, we know that there's a need there for that type of support. And I guess this is us just with this next strand of Football for Good, trying to see who we can work with and what we can do to help support in the mental health field as well.
It's fantastic,
And I think that's really good, given the what we are going through just now. And it seems like you guys are quite forward thinking and quite adaptable as well, which is really good, to be able to adapt to what's happening just now, but still to be doing some good and making an impact as well.
trying to listen to people and take on feedback of what people that are in front lines are saying to us as well. And I think I've been at the foundation now for about 10 years, and I said to Tony that it's probably the best job that I've been in, and I think it's just what you said there, Brooke. It's the fact that we can be quite reactive and forward thinking, and we can cut a bit of red tape at times. So yeah, we've got processes and procedures, and we've got a board of trustees, but they're there and they're listening, and they allow us to move quickly when there's a need for something. And I think this current situation, that's exactly what was required. So,
and that's quite inspiring as well, isn't it? Because, and I think that goes to show what kind of people you've got in your team as well. Just to be like, right, we've got this out of the blue. We don't know how, we've never dealt with this before, but let's react quickly, because I think that's what we needed, as opposed to responding to it, because responding, obviously, as we know, takes time. It takes, you know, people are needing this. So being able to react quite quickly, and as you say, just having people that's behind those decisions is great for the people who are tapping into this.
I think in an ideal world, we would have liked to have went back to our own delivery and brought that back into the stadium, because that's always our first choice, to deliver on our own or to co-deliver. In lieu of that, through this period, our Donna Marie effectively selected 2 partners that we know, that we trust, that we've got relationships with, that we know that the money is going to be well spent, it's going to be effective, it's going to make a big impact on those communities. So that's what we've done with the Golden Generation and with Rock Talk. So we're quite excited about that, and we're looking forward to bringing back some of the stuff that we were just trying to build up on. Obviously, before the world ended in March.
That was what I was going to ask you. How you guys kind of been coping through COVID? Obviously, we spoke off air, you know, Donna Marie, about that. How's things been with you guys, working from home and stuff like that? You know,
I've been working in the office, actually.
You've been in the office?
I worked from home for about 6 weeks, and then I've been back since May. And that's best for my own personal routine, is to be in the office. I've got lucky enough to have a private office at the park, and I'm no, in contact with anybody. I'm keeping my head down. Donna Marie brings me in food a couple of times a week.
She's good. She's good. I'm definitely giving you my address when we come off here. You can pass by here with some nice lunch.
It's not homemade, by the way.
No. That's okay. That's all right.
I don't cook.
It's all right. I'm not fussy.
It's been a real. It's changed everything.
It's an eye opener, isn't it?
I actually do cook now. So that's my thing. That's my focus. So this morning, about 6:45 this morning, I made beef and chorizo burgers.
Wow!
Stuck them in the fridge. Get back in the night at 6:45 and cooked them. And my wife and I, our youngest, had beef and chorizo burgers. So
superb.
So that gives me a real distraction.
Yeah. And that's me and Brooke talk about that. We do a daily podcast, Tony, and we talk about, taking up new hobbies or whatever it is, just get a distraction, something that will keep you away from thinking or watching the news or whatever, because it's scary times for people with mental health, isn't it?
Of course, and I think this time as well is helping people to tap into a wee bit of their creative abilities as well. So there you go, Tony. You're going to need to now be cooking at 6:45 every morning now. I bet your wife loved that. So
good, actually. I don't know if the food's any good, but the process is good. I enjoy the process.
And it's a great way to set up your day as well, isn't it? And then you know that it's all organised for later on as well.
So there you go. That's my story.
You'll be taking in Donna Marie food soon.
I know. It's going to be the other way about.
We'll need to taste the chorizo burgers, man. Because
listen, and when things go back to normal, James and I will be at your private office chatting the door and say, "Come in for a burger, please."
Superb. So the next question: how did the idea of You'll Never Talk Alone kind of come about?
That really just listening to a lot of people that were coming through, that were coming along to different projects, or maybe didn't feel that they fit the criteria for some of the projects that we were delivering, and people talking about loneliness, really at all different age groups and all different circumstances that were, you know, leading them to feeling lonely. So really that came about through trying to put something in place that would give people somewhere safe that they could come along to and socialise, really. I think, as I said to you off air, we don't proclaim to be experts when it comes to psychology, but we listen, and I'd like to think that people, once they get to know us, they can trust us, they can open up, and sometimes they just want to talk, and we're very good at listening, we're good at signposting and linking in people with different things that will help them. So that was the idea, where you'll never talk alone, bring people along, social environment. At that point in time, back in the good old days before COVID, we had live entertainment, live music on. People would sit down and get a nice 3-course meal and just get to meet people from different age groups doing sort of cross-generational work, people from different communities. Some of young people that were coming along through our project, you know, we had a young boy that comes along who actually goes and volunteers and gets involved at our dementia project. But he's only late teens himself, and he has a condition that is very similar to dementia, but in a young person. You know, and him and his family came along. So just a whole range of people. And Tony thought that I was really cheesy with the name of it. I think it's genius myself.
I think it's brilliant as well.
I like it.
It's really good.
I like it.
And it's not that. You just said, Donna Marie, you know, I don't think MD's got the answers when it comes to mental health, you know, but what I think is, see, if you're trying to make things available, then that's for the better of it, you know. That's all we can do, and that's what I try to do with my community project. I just make things available for people in my community. And I've got another podcast out with here that, you know, I speak to people in my community, whether that be, you know, suffering from mental health or, you know, projects, and they tell their stories. And, you know, one thing that they do say is, you know, see, as long as we've got somewhere to go, that's all, that's what counts. And, you know, you are making that step to make it happen. You know,
and just having that place to go, and again that goes right back to what you said, Donna Marie, at the start about being voluntary. People again just can that just gives people so much power, doesn't it? And it makes people want to come along because they don't feel forced, and then they can enjoy it more, knowing that, see, if I don't like it, I can just walk away. And they tend not to, because they really it helps people just to relax. And that social, I mean, it's obviously we're going through what we're going through just now, but when you hear stuff like that, it is quite a shame that people are missing out on these kind of experiences about coming along and almost kind of being wined and dined, the food, the entertainment, and just having that social environment for people that are feeling that loneliness and maybe isolated as well.
Yeah, I think there was so many. I mean, hopefully we're really hopeful that we can start holding them again in January and into the new year. But like you say, just different people talking to each other about different things, and it was quite unique in the sense that for us, we are quite used to running employability projects or for people that are out of work, whereas where you'll never talk alone, it wasn't about if you had a job or you didn't have a job or if you had a disability. It was really about loneliness in the widest sense. And so we ran it in the evenings. We tried to make it as accessible as we could. And it was just a lovely, nice, safe environment for people to come along with. So hopefully,
and I think what people can get for that, as well as they might be socialising with people that they normally wouldn't socialise with. You know, people of different interests that then sparks an interest within them. So out with maybe what you would call their typical peer group. It's almost as if they come along this safe, comfortable environment, almost feeling not forced, but, you know, wanting to speak to other people, and then it might open up sides of their personality or talents or skills that they didn't even realise they had as well. So again, that socialising with different people has many benefits.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, we've had some as well, and I hope it doesn't come across sounding too stereotypical as an example, but there's been some of our younger participants that have come along and they've got a criminal record. They're maybe trying to deal with some of their addiction issues, and they've came along and met with some, in their head, a chief exec like Tony is not going to be somebody that understands them or gets them or that will want to talk to them. And I think just it's helped overcome some perceptions and stigmas as well, as you say, with people that maybe wouldn't normally be in each other's company.
Yeah, absolutely, and I can absolutely understand that, because like you guys, I have in the past, when I worked for organisations before I came out self-employed, when I worked for organisations, I worked with quite a lot of people who had criminal records, addictions, and as you said, somebody with like Tony's title, they could be quite frightened of, because perhaps they've maybe been let down by people with titles in the education system, people in maybe social workers, maybe police. They've been really, they feel very, very let down by people in kind of authority figures or people with what they would maybe call professional titles. So when they come through your door, and then it's almost, and I guess you've got this environment that everybody just feels the same, and it's very comfortable and very relaxed. And I guess it's just about having people feeling like they exist and that they matter.
Yeah. Yeah.
Definitely.
And it's changing people's whole perception, isn't it? So for the people that maybe have been feel they've been let down by the system, or people that were maybe in places of power, to then come in through your doors and just be treated with respect, it just that can change somebody's whole future.
And we were talking about connections this morning, weren't we, on our daily podcast?
We were.
How important it is to go to these things. Even just getting out there and volunteering is, for me, I hadn't volunteered in years, and last year through the pandemic, I went and volunteered for a local community project, and it built character in me in a way, and it was great. It was fantastic. So it's great that these opportunities are available out there for people,
So we're looking forward to getting that back. Just trying to get, I think if we're at that point where we can bring that back, then that's an indication that things are slowly returning to normal, I would suspect.
Absolutely. And I think James had said before, when we were behind the scenes, if there's anything we can do to help you, if we're allowed to visit, when we're allowed to visit or anything, then we would be up for doing anything that we can do to help out with any of these events or the socialising or anything that you are doing.
Brilliant.
Can we speak on a wee bit about the cash gateway to employment? Because obviously these are development opportunities there. These are trying to increase confidence as well, and well-being and physical, mental health. Can we touch on a wee bit about that?
Go on, Dora Marie.
Okay, so our Cashback Gateway to Employment project, we're really excited about that. Now we've been delivering it for the past 6 years. So Scottish Government kindly fund that through their Cashback for Communities programme, which I think ties in quite nicely with what we're trying to do. We're working with young offenders or young people at risk of offending between the ages of 16 and 24. So we've delivered for 6 years now, and we're just starting a new 3-year phase of funding. So we've been learning as we go along, and like you say, we knew we could create a nice environment for people to come into. We knew that we had good people that could motivate people and help with self-esteem and the softer skills that you need. We knew that we could help move people into jobs and be successful with that, and we were. But I guess what we learned over the 6 years of doing it is the real desperate need among our young people for professional help around their mental health issues, around, it's a sort of a buzz phrase now into adverse childhood experiences, but it's very much a reality for the young people that we've been working with. And I guess even with what we were doing, we felt that one of the things they wanted most was just the one-to-one support, somebody to talk to, and a lot of the time we were involving our safeguarding manager in that to try and help them, because they're maybe disclosing something for the first time that's happened in their childhood, and they want help. So when we submitted our bid for the most recent stage of funding, we're doing 3 different strands now to our delivery. We're going to continue what we were successful at, which is delivering the employability projects within the stadium and hopefully moving people into jobs or training. We are going to be doing more within within the prisons now, so pre-release dates, going in and doing taster sessions and working with people in prison before they actually come along and start with, so that they're a wee bit more advanced in their journey by the time they get into the employability project. And then the third strand, I guess, which has been completely new for us, is we're going to appoint a psychologist, a trauma specialist, to try and work intensively with our young people on a one-to-one basis and caseload them. So that's the sort of changes that we've looked at for this phase.
Because like you said, it's absolutely needed. I work with a lot of children, and I think huge credit to you guys again if children are disclosing, trauma to you, because it's a big thing for children to open up about some difficult or traumatic experiences. So that shows a very good level of trust. And I think what I always need to stress to people is, I feel we, our adults, use the phrase that, children are resilient, they're resilient, they bounce back really quickly. Yes, that is true, but they're between the ages of 0 and birth and 7, they're sponges and they take in everything, and then we can absolutely miss the signs of childhood trauma by repeating or affirming about children are really, really resilient. And a lot of the time that I'm working with children or young adults, we need to do that age regression work, because there is trauma there that has taken place that will absolutely impact their adult years if we don't catch it quick enough. So I think that's another fantastic piece of work that you guys are doing that's more than needed. Yeah,
and it's a sense of empowerment as well there, because that's how I feel about mental health, and I say that to Brooke all the time, and especially my project. I try to empower others rather than pity them, rather than throw a hat, you can do this, and through development opportunities and your increasing confidence and physical and well-being, that's empowering others, and that must have a really, really good impact on people, So what plans do you have for the future, for the foundation? What can you tell us? What can we get excited about?
I think the plan is to make sure that we survive this COVID, that we survive in terms of health for the team generally. That's the first priority, is people's health, which is why the majority of people are working from home, which is the safest option. And then it's about, I suppose it's about consolidation, first of all, is protecting the projects and the income that's important to us, and making sure that we can continue to do what's needed. So if it's more cashback, if it's more gateway to health and opportunity, if it's more dementia care, then we need to be able to be creative and continually find the funding to go and deliver that. So that's really the plan, is to do more of the stuff that's effective and to understand more quickly what's less effective for us, and to reverse out of that space as best we can, and concentrate on the stuff that's having the biggest impact within our community.
It's fantastic, Guys, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on tonight. It really has, and thank you for sharing all the information you have with us. Tony, you've kept in contact with me, and you know, and you've come on to speak about what you have planned for the future and what you are doing. And I can only commend you for the work that you are putting in and the money that you are raising and the people you are impacting throughout Scotland. Is there anywhere we can find you on for the viewers out there?
I'm normally on Crime Watch on a Thursday night.
I knew that. I knew I could recognise you.
By the way, so are we, because
I know.
usually takes a wee screenshot and
I did. I took a screenshot of one of the YouTube videos, right? And it was the YouTube video had captured this screenshot, and I took it and sent it to James and said, "We look like a couple that's most wanted," because it was our faces were just like this, innit? It was like the worst screenshot for YouTube to pick, wasn't it?
People will find us on Celtic FC Foundation social channels, and they'll find us through the club website, which is celticfc.com, and the foundation's own website, which is celticfcfoundation.net. Well, everything's changing this week, so my head else, but
that's all right.
You'll find it.
Listen, again, absolute pleasure having you on, Donna Marie.
Folks, it's been great, and
great for the opportunity.
Probably worth saying, and I always, I'm lucky enough to be asked on a lot of these things, and I always make the point saying that this is possible because people support us, whether it's the staff that we've got at the foundation or the club, or volunteers, or the trustees, or local government, or Celtic supporters across the world that raise money for us. The work of Celtic FC Foundation is a credit to all of them, and it's possible because of all of them. So thank you.
Not a problem.
Thank you for coming on. Before we finish, James, where can you find us?
You can find us at liftthestigma20@gmail.com. You can find me on my personal email, jdowney042@gmail.com.
And you can find me across social media under the name Brooke Longmore, or you can email me brooke@brookelongmore.co.uk.
We have been Let's Talk Mental Health, and this is your Wednesday night podcast. Again, thank you for joining us, guys, and we'll see you later. Good night.
Thank you. Good night.